going again now to a low as a number of teams have started off 0-2. 3 in particular who were playoff teams last year and are in danger of possibly not making the playoffs this year. Vince, in your opinion, who is the 0-2 team who is in the most trouble?
I think Carolina's in the most trouble. This is who I'm keeping my eye on. Last year, they were probably the best team in the NFC by the end of the season with their dynamic running game with D'Angelo Williams pretty much running through and around everyone with his 4 touchdown games, which he had quite often. And as Bill Simmons said, the fans have pretty much lost faith in Jake Delhomme. He's pretty much dead to them. So if the Panthers are going to be as good as they were last year, Jake Delhomme has to at least show that he's competent and he has to play a little bit better. First week he was horrible. That's no secret. Last week he was much better. As long as he keeps improving and they start winning games, they can be back in the playoffs, but they have to start soon.
And I agree that Carolina definitely has a huge mountain to climb. My team, though, however, is who Vince picked to be the team to beat in the AFC East. I believe the Miami Dolphins are in trouble for a number of reasons. We talked about the competitiveness in the AFC East. They're going to have to deal with the New York Jets, deal with the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. But the thing that really strikes me is how last night against Indianapolis you hold on to the ball for 45 minutes and can't get a win out. And Chad Pennington said it perfectly at the end of the game. It's not about statistics, it's about getting wins on the board. And right now, Miami has 0 through the first 2 weeks. They have a tough schedule. They play the NFC South this year and also the AFC North. So when you look at the AFC North, they got the Steelers and the Ravens, who they could potentially lose to. The Browns and the Bengals will end up being trap games. When you look at the South, Saints, they already played Atlanta and lost to them. The Saints they'll probably lose to. The Bucs they've got a good chance to beat. And Carolina, depending on how they turn it around, could go either way. And plus, look at their last 5 games. At home with New England, at Jacksonville, at Tennessee, and 2 home games against Houston, and then ending the season at Pittsburgh. If they're trying to make a late season push for a playoff spot, those are 5 very, very difficult games to be able to win if you're a fan of the Miami Dolphins, and I do not like their chances in terms of trying to get back to the playoffs.
You look at it the other way, Jacksonville's not very good this year.
But playing
Tennessee,
at Jacksonville is tough.
It might be in front of half a stadium. But New England, they could that could be a tough game. But there's a few other games, like at Pittsburgh last week, the Steelers could have clinched their playoff spot and not be playing for anything and be playing all backups in that game, which would make it a very winnable game.
That's true.
And then the Tennessee game, Tennessee could go either way. They look great one week, they look horrible the other week. So I don't think it's really that bad of a schedule. You can't really base everything on last year, but you have to look at.
But when you look at based on the competitive natures, we've already seen New England can win close games. Jacksonville kept it tight against Indianapolis in Week 1. They always do. Tennessee has the talent to be able to produce. That's no 2 team that we haven't talked about yet. Houston just beat Tennessee, and they've shown they can have an offensive explosion. And Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's tough to beat whether it's on the road or at home. That's the way I look at it. Now, one team that we did not talk about is Tennessee, who I think originally I was going to say they had the toughest time because I believe that the AFC South will be the most competitive division in the AFC this year. But I just think that they need to get more consistent, in all honesty, because the first week, like you said, against Pittsburgh, they just couldn't score. The next week, they just couldn't stop Houston. If they can find a happy medium, they can be an effective team.
Yeah.
We're going to end today's show with talk of a man who could be costing themselves millions of dollars by his continued holdout, and that man is Michael Crabtree, drafted number 10 overall by the San Francisco 49ers. Still has not signed a contract, and no end in sight as of right now. The owner has asked for a face-to-face meeting with Crabtree in hopes of changing his tune, or the 49ers have also considered about restructuring the deal that they have offered him, which is reportedly around the area of 5 years, $20 million, with 16 of it guaranteed. Vince, I got to ask you, how do you see this playing out?
Michael Crabtree is a dumbass. You don't leave millions of dollars on the table. If he's not happy with the deal, sign a 2-year deal, show that you can play, and then you get another bigger deal before your first one would have ran out. I know there's a couple players that have done that, and it's worked out very well for them. So that's what I'd suggest that Michael Crabtree do. He just needs to prove himself before he expects to get all this money, although some other players haven't, and it's really not his fault that Al Davis took Darius Hayward-Bay as early as he did, and that he's getting paid more than him. He needs to get on the field and show that he's a better player than Darius Hayward-Bay, and then he can ask for more money.
Well, I mean, it's obvious that Michael Crabtree needs to prove himself. You can say that about any rookie in the draft because none of the rookies before they were taken. Excuse that. None of the rookies. None of the rookies before they were taken have ever played in NFL downs. You can even say the same thing about Matthew Stafford, 6 years, $72 million, 41 guaranteed. My question to you is, though, how is it going to play out? We all know that he's stupid for turning down this money. How's it going to play out, though?
I have a feeling he's going to end up sitting out. He seems like he has a pretty big ego. I think he'll end up sitting out this year, and then they'll trade him before the draft next year in March or whenever they can trade him, and he'll be with a new team. He'll get his money, and he'll probably end up being a flop. But you just can't take a year off. He can ask Mike Williams how that worked out. Not too well. So you can't do that. You have to get in there and play.
And here's the other thing you need to consider is that if he expects to go again in the draft, I don't know what makes him think that by re-entering the 2010 draft, he's going to get more money. Because he's not going to be picked over 10. I mean, he's going to have, his rights are going to be owned by the San Francisco 49ers. So during the offseason, he can't work out for other teams. He can't attend the combine. He can't do anything to show other teams that he's changed. And what other teams right now are seeing is a prima donna sitting out, refusing to sign a contract, and basically holding out for more money, which most teams aren't going to want to deal with. So he's not going to get picked higher within 10, which means he's not going to get a better contract than the one that was offered to him this year. Now, granted, the San Francisco 49ers could use him. I mean, right now they're two leading receivers are Isaac Bruce and Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis obviously is coming along very nicely, but Isaac Bruce, very old. They're going to need a replacement. Josh Morgan, I mean, he's a decent wide receiver, but he's not the answer. Michael Crabtree could be that number one wide receiver. San Francisco could definitely use him, but I mean, can they budge right now? Mike Singletary has said that they don't want to, but can they budge? Would you budge if they were 49ers?
Can you? Yeah, but Mike Sickles does not need Michael Crabtree, and he really doesn't want him because he doesn't put up with the kind of crap.
Well, he said he doesn't want to let go of the. He did say he doesn't want to let go of the possibility of signing.
Yeah, he might not want to, but he really doesn't care if he's there or not. He's said it a few times. He really doesn't care. Obviously, the 49ers could use a big play receiver because they really don't have any. But I don't think. I think they're going to try to do something to fix it, but I don't think anything's going to happen.
One last note to keep in mind as well is that the 49ers cannot trade Michael Crabtree until March 5th, and then they're free to trade him to any team for whatever they want. And in next year's draft, San Francisco has 2 first-round picks, and you got to believe that if they trade Michael Crabtree, they can get a number 1 pick out of it since he was a number 1 pick, trading value for value. Would it be worth it to the San Francisco 49ers to close up shop, trade him for a number 1 pick, and then have 3 number 1 picks in next year's draft? I believe that that's definitely a route they could go, and they'd definitely be smart to go that route.
Yeah, I think you're going to want to do that, and then there's unlimited possibilities what you can do with 3 first-round picks. They obviously need a quarterback. I don't think anyone believes that Sean Hill is their future quarterback, so I think they could use those picks and move up and maybe get Colt McCoy or get Sam Bradford if he comes back from his injury. They can get someone that makes a big difference and makes them a better team.
I definitely agree, without question. 49ers have their work cut out in front of them, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Well, for this week's edition of 543, he's Vince, I'm Josh. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.